Hey guys, good morning. 7:52 a.m., June 11th. So it looks like we caught the top again on the market pretty nicely. These channels have been working pretty good. Overextension, and we could not hold it on the NASDAQ, which has been obviously the strongest. You can see the pop through it, the close right on it, and now we're failing. And if we go and look at a 20-day, 20-minute chart, you can see our lines here. This is our momentum line starting at this pivot point right here. It runs up through here, tags the bottom of this, catches this area, and we broke that. And then this is more of an intermediate support line starting right here, crossing through here, keeping those candles out, tagging that same bottom area, not touching this area. It's an intermediate and it's hitting that one. So if we zoom in, you can see we bounced off of the, which is now resistance on the momentum line, and then we hit the intermediate support line. If we don't hold that line, depending on the time frame, this line will come into play, which is quite a bit lower. So we'll see if we can hold this line intraday. So we just tagged it in pre-market once, and we bounced off it with some energy, and now we're kind of rolling back down towards it. When you look at stocks like Boeing, there's probably a lot of margin calls going on in here because that's a big move from 240, right? And there's another little intermediate trend line in here. It's kind of an energy line. It's not the bottom of the candles, but it's kind of an energy line, meaning that when we pull below it, we want to pull back to it, pull back to it, pull back to it. Once we break it, we have some energy. Well, that line is all the way down around 181, depending on the time frame intraday, but you're into the 181s, which is pretty low. Unbelievable move from 240 on Boeing. I mean, that's a big move. You definitely, from this pivot, you definitely gave up the momentum line in here. You can see it kind of crack in that area. You can probably call that the momentum line there. But you can see how we bounced off there. We pulled away from it, got overbought. After hours bounce, pushed through, kind of energy, and then the last candle failed right here. And then you get horizontal resistance, and then you're falling back down. So somewhere along 181, 182 would be an interesting place for a Boeing bounce. These are big moves though, so you should be getting a lot of speculative trading margin calls on some of these accounts. I would expect to see a little bit more downside. And last one we'll look at, if our Bluetooth Norwegian Cruise Line, just kind of gauge the sentiment here. You can see that too, same thing. Big move to the upside, right? I don't know if this line is completely accurate, but it probably needs to be raised up a little bit. Probably looking at 1680s on there, 1670s on Norwegian Cruise Lines. Somewhere down in this pivot area here. 1670s, 1680s before you get any type of a bounce. And the major horizontal support is probably closer to 1590. So just keep that in mind. SPY, let's take a look at SPY. I don't know why everybody focuses on SPY so much. SPY is actually the strongest overall. Other than the Qs, it's the strongest index that has a little bit of a mix because it's heavily weighted with stuff like Amazon and Microsoft that are also in the QQQ, so they definitely balance it out to give it stability. Now you can see this momentum line breaking, and now the support line coming into play. There's a momentum line break, and then now we're coming into the support line. So depending on the time frame when we open up, we're probably right around support right now, 311, 318, which means it'll probably bounce, and then if we continue to not show some support, obviously, or the bounce doesn't carry a lot of energy and follow through, you're going to probably retest it and then potentially fail. So we'll see how that goes as well.